What can people expect as they go through this series? What all will we cover?
Well, the movement started in Zurich, and that will be where we start. And we will see how a group of young men became attached to what the scriptures said and eventually started this movement.
Yeah, the next one we go to Michael Sattler and the Schleitheim Confession. So going location there, seeing how the peasant revolt comes to that place, and then Michael Sattler responds to this, and then taking that to Schleitheim, and then from there to where he ends up in Strasbourg. And it's a fascinating episode that I think will really bring to life a lot what he went through. And the Schleitheim Confession, we go into a lot of detail on in that episode.
And then we'll go to Rothenburg and dig into Pilgrim Marpeck, a figure we don't talk about very often, and what's going on in the Tyrol. So that's moving a bit into Austria and some of those places, telling that story and his influence on the early Anabaptist movement. And from there, where do we go from there?
Don't we go to the Hutterites? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we see how the movement spreads north and to the east, and one particular group becomes communitarian. And they actually become very successful, prosperous, and mission-minded.
Then we go into Strasbourg and also seeing different places where Michael Hoffman comes in. So we see that we're starting to head now up north, and we see how the Hoffman affected the different places in the north, and we do a lot in Strasbourg and spend some days there and look at the different places that he was there in the prison and all those things, and that's also a very good location spot.
And so from Hoffman, we're tracing that story as it's going up north. What do we cover after that?
Religion and violence, and we have two focuses there. One is the peasant revolt, which started before the Anabaptist movement and lasted till after the movement started, but it gives us a sense of the unrest that many of the peasants had. Mm-hmm. And then in Münster, we see this movement which starts out peacefully getting derailed, and some of the Anabaptists feeling they need to defend themselves, and also because of prophetic activity, they believe that Münster would be the New Jerusalem. Out
of the disaster that is Münster, we get this huge figure in the early Anabaptist movement, and that is Menno Simons. Yeah. So at that point, we're getting up into the Netherlands, and we'll be telling that story and how he enters the movement from being a Catholic priest, and how he leaves that. We got to get into his church and film where he had been a priest before he leaves and becomes an Anabaptist.
And then after that is Church and Persecution. And so this is one that we had so many interesting places that we got to, that this episode kind of came out of it. Like we went to the place where Peter Ritterman was first in prison, and his letters about love and the brotherhood, and then Stephen, you went to this where the Osbund was created, and it was an amazing one. And so this ended up just kind of breaking out into its own episode. I also in that episode go to the Rembrandt Museum, and we see talk about just church standards and how they did church life and what did brotherhood and that type of thing mean from the time of persecution, and we follow that up into the Dutch world where it gets more progressive. And then we also through all that hit the interesting places that the church met, from hidden barns to hidden churches to caves and everything. So that's a fun episode of lots of different things that we bring out there. Yeah.
Well, then our last episode is about the Dutch experience, at least in part. It's interesting. They have a lot of divisions among themselves, and they're continually trying to reunite and become one. And the Dordrecht Confession, which I think reflects to some degree the Schleitheim Confession, which was a big thing for us earlier. Mm-hmm. That's an attempt to bring the Dutch Mennonites together. That doesn't work completely. It's not until the early 1800s that all of the Dutch Mennonites really get united. But we see their experience of trying to unite, their experience of becoming wealthy and accepted in society, and then what the effects of that are on them as a people.
And so the pastor of the Grossmünster is going to show us into all kinds of interesting places that you don't get to normally go as a tourist, and get us access into some really neat places that I don't think have ever been captured, at least in a documentary like this. So we're really, really excited to share those places that people are going to allow us to see and share that with everyone. And that makes me pretty excited.
And then all these episodes are going to focus on what makes Dirk turn around. And so that faith that changes your life is what's going to take us these 10 episodes to answer that question.